By the way, if you want to know what the elite guy is, it's not this guy here. Actually, I'll show it to you. I'll show you the elite guy. And he's going to talk, but I only understand him. It's this guy right here. He's the elite guy. Now, only I understand him, so I have to do the interpretations. He doesn't speak very well. So anyway, that's the inside scoop. If you understood that, that's telling you the future. Yeah, I just watched part of a video by, well, I'll say it. Man, I'm getting like, I need the hip waders, not the boots, man. I need the hip waders. That was Pastor Lindsey Williams, anyway. You know, I don't know who the hell this guy talks to, but, you know, and I'm not the freaking most highfalutin economist in the world, but for crying out loud, man. You know, the dollar is not going to be replaced as the world reserve currency that quickly. No way. Because what other contender is out there? None. None. You know the next one in line for the dollar? That would be the best? The euro. And actually it is a world reserve currency. It's one of the currencies that is a world reserve currency. The dollar is not going to, you know what? I already smell something coming up, and I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are. I'm going to get right to the punchline. There's going to be a problem, I think, with the budgets. They're not going to tape with the budgets coming up, despite them saying it's all ironed out, because some of the more conservative Republicans aren't going to go with adding more debt. There's going to be a problem. And like I said, I think the Christmas numbers for the retailers aren't going to be so great, because a lot of hardcore producing industries in the United States aren't doing good. The banking and finance industry is doing great. That's why the GDP is up. So they're not going to taper when they get the Christmas numbers out, right? So I think QE is going to come on back with full blast. And then, I don't know if Israel is going to strike Iran, but they're going to be talking about it more, and that's going to help gold go up too. And if they can't iron out the budgets, you know, Moody's is going to introduce some kind of proclamation about something, even if they don't devalue, you know, downgrade the debt, they're going to say something. So, what I see is this. You know, buy at any price gold. Buy at any price silver. Buy at any price platinum, palladium. Actually, mostly it's silver and gold, right? Buy at any price. You know, because it's going to the moon. It's going to start going up again. I think it's going to have a good. It's like that every 3-year cycle. One of these days, this guy's going to be right, but I think it's the 2014. It's going to be the year. Who the hell knows? But the dollar is not going to be replaced as the world reserve currency that easily. The Chinese can't replace it. They'd love to, but they can't. They need a hell of a lot more gold reserves. They're not in a position to replace it. No way. There's nothing out there. The Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, nothing. Nothing. It's like you couldn't have all those dollars jump into something else. There's no way in hell. No way in hell. You know, ask any freaking person that tells you, you know, it's on its way out slowly, but it ain't going to happen overnight. You know, what I think's coming up in the next few months is problems with the budgets. You know, I don't think there's any secret meeting out there where they're talking about the dollars, they're all agreeing upon a new world reserve currency. I think that's BS to the max. Because there's nothing out there that can replace it. It can't be one currency. There's no way it could be one currency. It has to be a whole pile of different currencies. That's what it would have to be. So I'm getting on here for a reason, because, you know, what I see is, you know, every time they got to keep you up on edge with this crap. So, like I always suspected, the dollar is not going to, well, as I always suspected, you know, they're going to be out in full force when you see gold and silver start getting legs again, due to global tensions and the budgets and all this other garbage. They're going to be out there in full force. And you know, who the hell's going to be buying it at any price? Idiots. I'm not. I'm not. No way in hell. No way in hell. You know, like I said, I'll buy more silver if it goes down to 18. I got enough of this stuff. You know, when it starts, if it goes up to 50, you think I'm going to be buying that crap? No way in hell. No way in hell. I'll be selling some of it, to tell you the truth. Actually, you know, it may bust through 50. And then, but if it gets ahead of itself too fast, it's going to crash again. I think they're setting people up. The dollar is not going to be replaced as the world reserve currency by a group of 200-something nations agreeing upon some other currency, because there's no other contender out there. There isn't any other currency that can replace the dollar as a world reserve currency right now. That's a reality. Chinese can't do it. The Russians can't do it. Nobody can do it. The Swiss franc can't do it. Nothing can do it. The British pound can't do it. The euro is the closest thing, and the euro is in trouble. You know? The Japanese yen can't do it. They can't replace the dollar as the world reserve currency that fast. It's going to be a slow process. It's going to be a slow process. And more than likely, it's going to be replaced by a, you know, if I think the dollar is going to go, what I would say, and just using common sense, they're not going to replace it with a nation's currency. They're going to replace it with a global currency. In other words, they're not going to pick one of the nation's currencies to do it. They'll wait till there's a catastrophic problem, and then the situation will be ripe for a global currency, and it's not just going to be backed by gold. I'll guarantee you it won't just be backed by gold. It'll more likely, you know, if you look at the commodity index, gold is like a small portion of it, and silver is like an infinitesimal portion of it. Actually, if you're looking at what it would be backed by, it would be a broad range of commodities, especially in the energy sector. Undoubtedly, the energy sector is actually what's going to back a new global currency. And I'll guarantee you, a new global currency is not coming on in 3 months. I know it. The situation isn't quite that bad yet. It might. I think it's going to be a few years. A few years. And the other thing is, you know, when you're talking about what's more important in gold and silver as far as backing, you know, as far as commodities and what would the currency, new global currency would be backed by, besides the energy sector, it would be the agricultural and livestock sector. Even that sector would carry more weight than gold. If they if they wanted to back the dollar or some currency like the dollar, and they just picked another currency out, gold would be $50,000 an ounce. The way that's something like that. You know, I calculated this a while ago by just looking at oil trade and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be backed by gold exactly. It would be backed by oil. And you know what? The U.S. dollar is in effect backed by oil. You know why the dollar's not going to go? You know why I know when the dollar's going to really be on the ropes? Is when oil prices go up a lot, because that's going to be the last ditch effort to soak up the excess dollars and create a demand for dollars, because most oil in the world is traded in U.S. dollars. If oil goes up to $130 a barrel or $150 a barrel or something like that, that's going to create a big demand for U.S. dollars by foreign nations, because all foreign nations need oil, and that's how oil is traded. Then the next step may be a new global currency, but they're not going to pick out a nation's currency. There's no contender out there. It'll be a whole new currency. A whole new currency. And more likely to be backed by a broad range of commodities, with gold and silver taking a much smaller role. You know, I think when that happens, you'll probably see gold and silver crash down again, I'm assuming. But I think at one point in time before that happens, or right before that happens, there's going to be a major panic into gold and silver. A panic. That's why it'll get way ahead of itself. Anyway, beware the garbage out there, man, because there's no single one currency that can replace the U.S. dollar at all. Not even close as the world reserve currency. Nothing. Nothing. Not even close. The closest contender is the euro. And actually, that is one of the world's reserve currencies. That is the closest contender. The Chinese renminbi, yuan, forget it. Japanese yen, forget it. British pound, forget it. Swiss franc, forget it. They don't have enough of them. They'd have to issue so many more of them, it'd be ridiculous. Unless they decide to devalue the dollar down to oblivion. But you know what? That's not going to happen. You know why? Because the people in the United States that are invested in dollars, you know what? Even Vladimir Putin is invested in dollars. Do you think he'd freaking want to see his investments go to zero? No. Do you think the Chinese want to see them go to zero? The dollar is not going away as fast as these clowns say. And there's not going to be a 30% reduction in the value of the dollar right away. No way. No way. So, you know, I'm getting tired of this stuff out here because, I don't know, I think it's fear porn. There's going to be something coming up because you can't freaking keep this kind of debt going forever. But it ain't going to be right away. Not right away. What I suspect is there's going to be a rise up in the metals and they're prepping people for, you know, later on. So, you know, that's why people bought silver over $45 and $42 and $43. Why did people buy silver at $43 and $45 back in 2011 when it was going like a rocket, right? Why did they do that? Because they were out there, they prepped people for months. Hey, the sky's falling, it's going to go to 100. You know? Now, it may break through 50 this next time, right? I bet you it don't go to 100. Not right away. I bet you it takes a few years. So, this is just a hunch. But it's not a total hunch. Because I'm not playing, I'm influenced by these guys. I'm going by moi, what I think. And I rarely ever really say what I think, but I am now. I'm not buying this BS about this global currency reset. The meeting of 200 people, 200 nations, they're going to decide on one nation's currency to be the global reserve currency? No way in hell. There's nothing out there to contend with the dollar. There isn't anything. And I'm not saying that because I'm patriotic or something. That's reality. That's reality. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. Nothing. Nothing. You can't name anything. When there's actually going to be a major problem, when there's going to be a global reset or they have to change the world reserve currency and say there's a crisis, they're going to come up with something new. They're not going to pick a nation's currency. They're going to come up with a world currency. A world currency. A global currency. That's what they'll come up with. Man, anyway, watch out, man. Watch out, because you know what I smell? I smell that I think gold and silver is going up good this year, and you're going to get people to buy high again. What else is new, right?